Alright, welcome back everybody to the channel, and we are once again doing the top 10 characters of the fall 2023 list. And at the time of making this video, Happy New Year's to everybody watching this. It is basically 2024 right now for me. And I did figure, why not, come back to the channel and do the top 10. I am working on some anime videos as I have been quite busy the past few months, so haven't really had the chance to do a lot of videos and kind of really enjoy doing it, and I don't really want to leave this channel to die, you know what I mean? And this stuff I enjoy making the most. I haven't been that much interested in terms of the Dokkan stuff and whatever that is. I kind of just kept it, for other things. But without further ado, you guys know the rules. If you're new to the channel, we are doing the ranking from top 10 of this season. We are not gonna include sequels mostly, but there is top heavy including sequels, which you'll see at some point. The reason I include certain characters from certain sequels, it is very reliant. It depends on if that character's ranking is based on this season. So for example, say girlfriend, if I have Rika at the top of the list, but if it's not because of this season, I'm not counting her, if that makes sense. But if I like her a lot because of this season, then I will account her, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's why I kind of have a different rule when it comes to that. And obviously, not every character will have the same ranking or discussion as others, because there's certain characters that are simpler than others, and other characters that are more complex and they need more discussion. And of course, me liking them more is probably going to mean I'm going to talk about them more, but that's not always the case. And some of these shows I haven't fully completed. I'm about maybe an episode or two behind, and I doubt it will give a drastic difference. If there is, then oh well. I kind of am a bit busy with certain things, and I will probably finish them after I'm done with this video. But yeah, all the shows I'm talking about here have been finished. It's just maybe an episode or two. But I might as well still discuss about the top rankings, as we are basically done with the season. And we're gonna start with the honorable mentions, and we're gonna start with Konoha Kisato from 16-Bit Sensation. I do really like her. She's pretty fun, this character, and it is pretty interesting to see in this series. There's no copyright shit where they don't censor stuff, because obviously it's owned by Aniplex, so they kind of talk about it as much as they want. And it gives this kind of interesting, aspect and, vision where you can see a character and, talk about, manga and anime and all this stuff, and there's stuff that you recognize and So it kind of gives you, relatability to some people, where you can see that maybe back then, maybe this was the case for some people. Obviously, it's not going to be completely accurate, because, it's exaggerated in some parts, obviously, with the time travel and all that type of stuff. Which just has some interesting stuff, for example, talking about AI and the whole thing with the script. I haven't finished the last few episodes, so I'm not sure where they went with it, but I did really like where, there's talking about the passion behind, the humans making, stories and whatnot, as compared to AI doing, a story for a visual novel, because, the AI just doing a prompt, and they're just following a prompt, and there's no passion or for creation, and it's just gonna give you something that's soulless, which is exactly what we're in right now, where we have all these, things with AI and all this type of shit. And I did really enjoy that. It's pretty interesting. And of course, it's an anime original, so doesn't have a source material that someone's gonna talk about. She, as a character, she's pretty fun. I really like her kind of personality, just kind of seeing how she is. Her, I don't really have much to say on her specifically, but I think she's fitting as a protagonist, essentially. Some might find her annoying, some might not, but to me, I enjoy her. And that's gonna be one of my first honorable mentions. My next one is gonna be from a show that I did actually finish this one, and she's really cool. This is one of the most unhinged shows of the season, and it is just fucking hilarious. This is if you take a harem and you just kind of multiply it by 100, it's literally called 100 girlfriends. This dude has fucking, kingdom of girlfriends because of his goofy ass fucking premise. But I do really like her. She's just this unhinged, girlfriend of his, where she's just gonna do whatever it takes to just get it, get him to swoon over or seduce him, and just do all this the fucking crazy shit imaginable. If you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna mention it too much here, but yeah. And in the last few episodes, not to mention, her mom is even worse. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I do recommend you to watch this. And it's such a parody. I don't know how to explain. They're very meta, but it's not for everyone. Obviously, if you're not into this type of shit, you're not really gonna enjoy it. But yeah, that is my take. I really like Hakari. She's my favorite girl in the series, and maybe in the future with season 2 actually being announced, we'll see if that will change. Okay, that's gonna be my take on Hakari. Next up is actually gonna be from a show that has actually been one of my favorites, for a while, and the next court actually came out this season. It just ended, and of course I did expect myself to like this, given that it's Narita's work, which is made by Durara, which is my favorite series of all time. And if you know me, you know that I like Izaya a lot from that series. And this series has a lot of like similarities to Durara. And if you've watched I think it's the summer or maybe the spring top list, I did actually have Solitaire up there. He's not gonna be in this list because, well, he is. If I counted him, he'd probably be up like in the top 3. But I'm not counting him because this season didn't make me like him any more. But he's still up there as one of my favorites, if that makes sense. But still awesome character. I do really like the development they had for Kabane, where they are giving him this kind of development where you see more about him and how he's like, and he's not this like kind of just hero or villain, and you see that he's kind of finding a place to belong in this place, with the fact that it's kind of this clash between the other world and this world, and we're getting to see all these kind of influences, such as these friends that he had before, and the fact that betrayed the empire and all this stuff, and it's pretty interesting to me. And it actually, what's made it really interesting is it's a, how do you say this? It's like a opposite or difference to Mikado from Durara, because with Mikado it was more so he was the normal one and seeing all this interesting, unique stuff, and he was getting changed because of that, and that's what caused him to get to his downfall and all that insanity that he didn't show. And this is kind of like the mirrored version of where all this normalcy, but then when he showed up, everything started happening and everything kind of ties together slowly because of his existence and him coming in this world, kind of causing the other characters to show up. Not maybe necessarily because of him specifically, but he is definitely kind of the cause. I do really like him. I gotta probably I don't want to get like a good rewatch of the show overall, because it's been like a weekly watch, and it's not really like, this show is not really the best to like weekly watch this. I'd recommend you probably want to wait until it's done, because there's a lot to follow, a lot of characters to remember, a lot of characters to keep track of, and it might not be the easiest to keep track of, because I won't lie that sometimes you could get lost if you're watching this weekly. So yeah, but he's definitely a great character, and I do enjoy him a lot. That's gonna be one of the third honorable mention here. Next up is gonna be again another 100 Girlfriends character, and we have to talk about Rentaro himself. He is just a ton of fun to watch, just as Hakari, and he is just like as I said maybe before, I don't think it was in any of the seasons, but if you like Naoya from Girlfriend, you're gonna enjoy how this guy's because this guy is very loyal, and he's just very absurd, because you just see how dedicated he is to each and every single one of them, and just the way he acts and how he's willing to do anything for them, and how he's trying to keep track of every single one of them, despite him having fucking 6 or 7 of these girls, and it's gonna keep increasing. It's gonna keep increasing here and there, and you just gotta give it respect, and he's just really cool. Not really much for me to talk about, but yeah, basically that's this. And their final honorable mention will actually be Andy from Undead Unlock. Very good show. Have not caught up yet. I've been a few episodes behind, but still love Andy. Andy is a very fun to watch character. Not really, I guess, a lot for me to talk about, but I do like his relationship with. Why am I blanking on the name? Let me just. We could just literally pull it up right here for you guys. Fuko, but. Yeah, it's a ton of fun. I guess in the beginning might not I feel everybody has, I guess, if you I've seen the show at the start, he kind of is a bit wilding out with that shit he does, but yeah, it's a pretty a great show. I definitely gotta catch up to it, and Andy himself is pretty cool. There's not really much for me to say. He's kind of just simply cool as fuck, I guess. That's kind of it. And now we're gonna enter our top 10. We're gonna start getting into number 10. Number 10 will be Crimson from Ragna Crimson. I still also need to catch up to this one. I think I'm an episode behind. But Crimson is very intriguing as a character. It's really entertaining to see this manipulative, antagonistic character that's trying to get revenge on all these, dragons. And you see how, the way he plans certain things and the way he acts, as, he literally just kind of destroyed a whole city. He didn't really care about what happened to the women and children, the citizens, just so he could kind of destroy the mental state and the philosophy behind Ultimatia, and how he uses Ragna and all this type of stuff. I think he definitely just basically carries the show, just kind of seeing how he handles everything, and just him running the show. And at one point he's probably gonna end up getting fucked, because the shit he's doing is just not okay. A lot of the manipulation and kind of the tactics he do. I do imagine at some point Ragna will basically stand up against him and take him down, or unless, as we see in the future, with the future versions, they do end up actually working together. But we'll see. But he's definitely a very compelling character to me. there's not, maybe I guess, like maybe not a lot, I guess, in terms of the kind of the depth, if that makes sense. We're like going through his story and stuff. I guess we haven't seen much of that, but I really enjoy him. He's great. He's great. A ton of like entertaining aspects, trying to see how he's going to come up with stuff and how he's going to do that. And I think that in itself is kind of like the depth behind characters. There's no, like, you don't need like a backstory or the show that's kind of feed you or show you certain things, because there's subtle things you could like pick up. Now the next one, I don't even know if many people would like expect or maybe like know much about this character, but like, I mean, honestly, I mean, people probably hate her, but I mean, I really like Millicent from Vexations of a Vampire. I am not caught up. I'm about 2 episodes behind, and it's actually finished already. I need to catch up. This is honestly probably one of my favorite shows this season, and it's very underrated to me. And I gotta catch up because I loved watching this one a lot. I really hope it gets season 2. But I really find Millicent's story quite interesting, because there's this whole thing of like her being this bully, but you get to see just how much they fucked her over because of her father trying to force her to train and do all the certain things, and what caused her to be the way she is, and taking out her frustrations and angers on other people just because she finds out that she's gonna live a life of hardship because the whole like future telling that the maid has. And you just get to see that at some point, even though she tries to fight and tries to take over and try to ruin everything that Komari ever had, because she's the reason that everything keeps happening, because all the things, the whole reason her father wants her to be the best she is and trying to force all this type of shit is because of Komari's existence. So she tries to take it out on Komari rather than the actual issue at hand. And then you see after right before her death, you see all her kind of just realize that in fact it's not Komari who's weak and her just like taking everything. In fact, she's the weak one, because I mean she was kind of just taking everything in the pettiest way possible, kind of hiding behind the other people. For example, the people kind of kiss her ass while she just kind of beats the fuck out of people because she doesn't like them. And then she's I like her a lot. She's probably the one I'm gonna talk about the most here, if I guess make like a small little thing about her maybe in this video. But I don't really have like much plans. But I'm very interested if maybe like she comes back, because I seen that at one of the episodes she was actually talking to Sakuna. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but definitely one of my favorite characters in the season. Next up is going to be Gina from Undead Unlock. I actually do like her more than Andy, and that probably is quite a hot take, but I do really like her character with the whole thing around change and how she's kind of obsessed with the fact of not wanting things to change, as for example, passing away or aging, which is why, as we see, she kind of just, gave herself the ability to not ever age, or just kind of have the kind of appearance of a teenager. And we do see that despite that, she tries to befriend people, as we see with Fuko, and how she tries to also talk to her about the idea of change, how she doesn't really want that. But I do really like her whole thing, and even at the end we get a good moment with her and Andy, kind of like the final moment even after her passing and stuff. Not really a lot, I guess, for me to talk about, but she's fun to watch overall, and overall just great stuff. Alright, so our next character here will be Civil from Dead Deathplay. This guy is probably one of the more entertaining and interesting characters I've seen in this season. And I really find him quite fascinating, because he has this role in the story where, I don't know if I want to call it the Jester role, but it is pretty similar, where he gets introduced pretty late in the story, and we get established as he's from this other world, but we also see that we don't really know much about him already yet. And we see that the way he is and the way he acts, it's quite, I guess, suspicious and threatening, because while he's nonchalant and stuff, there is a lot more that's likely there, as of course there is. And we see kind of his philosophy or belief in the idea of revenge, because to him, if somebody commits an atrocity, there is nothing wrong with bringing back an atrocity, or how do I say it? There is nothing wrong with fighting an atrocity with an atrocity. And so to him, if somebody kind of does something terrible to him, he has the right to do something terrible back to them. And if there's also another case of that group of people hating on him just because he's related to something awful that other people may have done, then he has the right to also attack them, because they are technically hating on him, which is something that he considers to be an atrocity, even though he's just kind of a relation to that and not actually the direct cause. And he finds, I guess, enjoyment in that, because he also is quite bored with everything, and he wants to go back for that exact reason. And to him, it's pretty interesting, because there's like a lot of characters, like Narita loves to do this type of shit, where it's all these kind of unique kind of characterizations and unique themes in certain characters. And we see this quite well in Civil. As we see at the end, there's kind of this dynamic and parallel between him and Kabane, where we see Civil is very excited and very ecstatic about how Kabane is like in the fight during between them, because, you know, now his belief changes. Instead of going back, he wants to bring all the crazy shit here because he believes that Kabane could rid him of his boredom because of the amount of abilities and strengths he has. And just we see that it's a difference, while Civil doesn't like accept the fact that, you know, these two can coexist. To him, he can just make this world the way it was when he was over there. But to Kabane, he wants just to live here the way it is and accept things for the way they are. And it is pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting kind of dynamic. And again, things might not be as accurate as I explain it, obviously, because, you know, as I said, this show doesn't really work without weekly watch. I'm gonna definitely rewatch it at some point. I have the time. Because I do want to like talk about it at some point. But yeah, Civil is definitely entertaining and interesting. And again, it's fun to watch. I mean, I can't really like say anything about that. And, you know, all these characters we talked about here, now we jump into just like an outlier, which is gonna be Shino Kiryu from Girlfriend. See, this is like the sequel. This whole, you know, a sequel, and same I guess with Deadman Deathblade, but like Civil's basically a new character from that season, so I figured it's fine. And Kabane, the reason he's there again is because this season made me like him a lot more. And with Shino, it's the same case as we see like with this season. I think I'm one episode behind, but I have read the manga. I've literally finished the manga, but this season gives you the spotlight to Shino that she deserves, because before that she was pretty good. I like her, but it's not really like I don't enjoy her as much as the other three. Like, you know, Saki was very fun to watch. She's such an amazing, like, you know, energy to just kind of watch from the cast. Nagisa is a great character overall with things she has going for her. And Rika's just a ton of fun, being the antagonist that the story needs, kind of being this kind of thing that makes the story go forward, because, you know, she's opposing the whole, you know, idea of, you know, the polygamy that Naoya has, and I really enjoy that. But when it comes to Shino, she's also opposing that, but you also get to see now how she is holding herself back because, you know, she's in love with Naoya, but she doesn't really want to, you know, ruin things for Saki. And we get to see an arc for her where she tries to bet her best to, you know, get Naoya to be into her. And we see all these kind of like arguments and drama and all this type of stuff. And we see just how much Saki cares for her. We get to expand more on the relationship between her and Saki. And I don't know if this season does it, so I'm kind of worried to say it, like, if because I haven't finished the last episode. I don't know where they stop exactly, so I don't know what I can say. But I'll just give a spoiler warning and skip to a certain part of the video. Like, it's probably going to be up on the screen. But, yeah, that's probably where you skip if the anime didn't, like, get through it yet. But, yeah. You know, as she also becomes the... Like, okay, before I say it. 3, 2, 1. Okay. As she becomes the third girlfriend for Naoya. You know, because, you know, now we get girlfriend. This, you know, the story becomes... But yeah, like, you know, we get more of like the whole characterization and development for Shino, as I do really enjoy that, because she definitely deserved. Like, you know, back then, I don't really think she had a lot. I still enjoyed her a lot. Like, in terms of a tier ranking, if I made like a tier listing, if you guys remember like that one video I made a tier list, probably would be like an A+ before that. But now I put her like a good S tier, like very good. But yeah, that's gonna be the 6th character. Now I'm gonna just let you guys know from here. The next 5 will be from the same series. You know, just like the last video, we had the same series from the first top 5. I mean, like, we gotta expect at this point. Alright, let's get into it. Yuji as number 5. Now you probably already know the rest of the characters. Okay, again, and the reason why I put Yuji here is, honestly, if not from his fight with Mahito, especially the last moment, I was never really a big fan of Yuji. Yuji was a good protagonist, he was decent, but I never really had much of a, I guess, connection or just an interest in his character. Because, I don't know, I just never really had a lot to him in my opinion. I think he was decent. I enjoyed Yuta a lot more in the prequel. And, I mean, I've said it before in the previous video, I still need to make that video at some point, but Gojo's character arc in Tar Plasma with Geto and all that. I mean, Gojo was already, like, a character I enjoyed a lot, but he had also the same thing where before the Star Plasma arc, I liked Gojo quite a bit. He was quite a fun character to watch, but he didn't really have a lot like I could enjoy from him to make me like him as one of my favorite characters of all time. With Yuji, what I really enjoy is in this arc we see just all of his principles being put to the test because of Mahito. And Mahito, again, like, he's the perfect antagonist for Yuji, because we actually get to see this direct clash and direct kind of opposition as we see with the fight that they have, where we see Yuji is the same as Mahito, as he said before, and just kind of the fact that we see kind of just Yuji grieving and lamenting over the deaths of his people that he cares for, versus I guess Mahito, who doesn't really give a shit that some of these curses have died, and see the enlightenment that Mahito has versus the kind of depression and despair that Yuji has felt. But the moment that he has where he just accepts everything and decides, even if he will be a hypocrite, and even if he decides to just kill all these curses, despite the fact that Mahito will always just be the same as Yuji, in the sense of, just as Yuji saves people without a second thought, Mahito will kill everybody without a second thought, because that's just what a curse is, and curses do not have the same principles as humans. And it's just a great moment, because it just cements Yuji as deciding everything just to stick to his principles and doing what he thinks is right, even if there's faults to it, because again, there is this whole like kind of contrast between the two. And I just love that moment a lot. It just really kind of just makes Yuji an amazing character to me. That moment alone just makes me like have him a lot higher, because it really just takes everything that you watch from the series, like, again with Junpei and with Todo and all this type of stuff, and it kind of just encapsulates it overall. I am a manga reader, but I haven't finished the finale of this episode, but I do know about what happens in it. And I have read a bit of the next arc, but I haven't really caught up. I've been behind like in a year from now, for a year now, I mean. But yeah, Yuji's definitely a great character. One of my favorites, top 5 in this season. And now the next one, I like Todo more, but there's a lot less for me to talk about when it comes to Todo. Todo's just a fun character to watch. He just, like, you gotta love Todo. Todo is just awesome. Todo, if you just watch the episodes, and with fights with Mahito, you probably just know. Like, that's probably all I need to tell you. Like, if you just want me to explain why I like Todo, just watch the fight. Like, I'll be honest though, that in Goodwill, I'm not really the greatest fan of Todo. He's still fun to watch, but I think Todo peaks the best when it comes to Shibuya against Mahito. He's just a fun and character to watch, extremely great. The anime makes it a lot better, especially with his scenes. Fucking, beat down with the hallucination with, the idol. It's just perfect. It's fucking great. And overall, just a fun time to watch Mahito versus, Todo and Yuji. Yeah, this is basically all I'll say. Now, the next one we'll also have is Mechamaru. Mechamaru, yes, I do actually have Mechamaru up here. It probably is something that's kind of very kind of different, I guess. He's not really that popular. Todo, everybody loves Todo. Everybody knows that. Yuji's popular, but Mechamaru is just kind of like underrated to me. He's one of my favorite characters in JJK. He is a big MVP. I mean, you've seen what he does. He put up a great fight against Mahito. That fight is one of my favorites in the series. It is very underrated. Like, I love just how they kind of started the series with that, because this man, I mean, he and Todo kind of just carry all the fucking Kyoto students. And I mean, I might have not liked him a lot in Goodwill, but I mean, he was cool. I really like just the idea behind it. As you see that he's doing all he can because he wants to make his class happy, and he tries to fight against Mahito, and he puts up a fight, and he actually almost had it, despite him dying. But then even that, he's able to just be this kind of supporting character to tell them certain things and inform them. For example, when Gojo got sealed and he's supporting Yuji, and he also has one of my favorite scenes where it is basically the reason why I like him as much as I do right here. Whereas essentially having this moment with Miwa, where he's just kind of letting it all out, and he's just confessing to her everything, and even though it is kind of a tragic moment, because Miwa will never see the real Mechamaru, which is Kokichi, because she never got the chance to, and he's doing all he can just to kind of save her and just make sure that none of these students get in trouble and danger as much as they are. I mean, honestly, I'm thinking about it now, I kind of forgot to put Miwa in this list. I mean, I would probably put her, and I mean, if you just think about it, I'd probably put her Miwa would probably be somewhere here. Let's say between these two. So I mean, I could probably just take Konoha off or something like that. But I mean, we're already too late in the video. But all this explanation I said about Mechamaru, she's a lot lower to me, like Miwa, but I still think she's great because of this moment itself. There's not, I guess, a lot to say with it, but it's just a simple moment, and you just gotta love it to me. I just really like it. It's such an emotional scene, and it just, I guess, really shows just these kind of sorcerers can just be just normal people. Like, they're just, some of them are insane, some of them, have been affected by the sorcery world. Like, for example, Gojo and how his whole, mind and philosophies have been faced because of the whole just sorcery world, and Geto, and just Yuji being challenged because of this. You also have people who are just normal, like Miwa, that just, and Kokichi, who just genuinely tried to have a normal, like, kind of relationship, and just, it didn't work out because of all the circumstances around it. I might be wrong, but that's how I interpret it. And now, the next one is going to be Sukuna. Sukuna is just, like, there might not be, like, a ton to say about Sukuna, but Sukuna is just, he has such charisma with him, where if he shows up, shit's gonna happen. And the personality he has, and just the aura he has around him, it's just very, like, he just has you glued to the screen. Like, the Maharaga fight, the things he does in the previous seasons. I wasn't, like, big on Sukuna prior. Like, he was entertaining, but I wasn't, like, a big fan of him until the Maharaga fight, where it just kind of just gives you. And also, don't forget the Jogo fight. Jogo fight's awesome with him, because Jogo fight, there's a bunch of interpretations you see at the end with the whole, like, stand proud, but it is also still, like, just an amazing fight overall, because it brings up just the best of Sukuna. You see everything when it comes to Sukuna, just the chaotic nature and just the destruction that he brings. He's not this kind of, like, good guy, this kind of character that's going to change into being a good guy or anything like that. No, he's just genuinely as fucked as he is a true villain to the core. And again, I like also some previous stuff from previous season where, one time when Yuji wanted Junpei to be revived, he just said, fuck that, I'm not doing that. And you just see that laughter moment, and just, it sinks in that these are curses. They are not going to be like, curses, but they're actually just like humans and they have some morals. No, they are genuine curses, and Sukuna manages to capture that kind of feeling. But if there is one character that I would talk about that would just be the perfect antagonist for this whole story, and manage to encapsulate all the themes behind all this type of stuff when it comes to being curses and the principles and the philosophies, and kind of managing to contrast this with the humans of, the sorcerers, it would be my favorite character this season, Mahito. I gotta mark this video. I'm hoping I can get this done. Try to make a brief here, but Mahito just represents the value and idea of being a curse so well, because to him and the things that he lives for, they are essentially what curses are in the series. They kill and they do all these things and chaos and want to replace the humans as themselves. And just his justifying it is the fact that he is just in the same sense as Yuji. Just as Yuji saves people, because again, it's just no reason to there's no reason to question to save people. When you want to help, you don't need a reason to help somebody. If somebody's in trouble, you just help them. But in the same sense that curses just kill people. That's like, the thing that they have with them. If they just see somebody, they're just gonna kill them, because they do not have the human principle. And Mahito perfectly represents that. You just see that everywhere, where he just, he's indifferent to life. He's a nihilist. He doesn't, have much entertainment. Like, as we see with the interaction with Junpei, like, indifference is the worst thing you can have. Instead of having, hatred or, like, love, indifference is the worst thing ever, because there's no feeling towards it. And that's why he believes that. But at the same time, in that belief, he thinks that he should enjoy life to the fullest, because to him, if there's no meaning to his life and all that stuff, then he could just go off and do whatever the hell he wants, because, he just go crazy. And it just perfectly, again, represents, because he's just this curse. And, of course, these curses should not have, like, human principles, because, again, they're curses. There's nothing wrong with making a character that, is a curse, or, a character that's, like, supernatural entity, and give them human human natures and kind of, relatability. But JJK uses Mahito in a way to make sure to remind you that these curses are literal just demons. They're just fucked in the head. Like, that's just like what it is. And I just love Mahito doing that. And he's honestly just a really fun character to watch, as I keep saying this. He's just kind of this nonchalant, kind of just goofy guy sometimes, where he's fucking as childish, which is perfect, because Mahito was barely like a year old, I'm pretty sure. He just, was made like pretty recently because of the whole embodiment of the human nature's hatred, which I think also just perfectly works. As you see with his ability, the soul manipulation, it perfectly also represents Mahito's ways of manipulating others, such as Junpei and all this other stuff. Because I really like how with JJK, you have these kind of abilities that actually really tie well to these characters. And I'm gonna just stop there, because I'm going too much on a tangent. Let's not go too far, because if I do talk too much, this video is gonna be fucking like years long. But yeah, that's kind of basically gonna be like my top one, Mahito here. And let's get a quick like review. You know, we got the Konoha is number 15, or maybe 16 because I probably will put Miwa here as well. And then we got Hakari from Hornet Girlfriend, Kabane or Corpse God. We got Rentaro, and we got Andy, Crimson from Ragnar Crimson, Millicent from Vampire Shut-In, Gina from Undead Unlock, Civil from Deadmount, Shino from Girlfriend, and Yuji from JJK, and then Todo, and then Mekamaru, Sukuna, and then Mahito. That's gonna basically wrap up today's video. Let me know, what you think. I hope this video was enjoyable to you guys. I do want to try at least making the seasonal top list consistent, because I do want to make these as consistent as I can. I want to have something drop at least every end of season. I might not be able, of course, to drop videos consistently, because as you see, there's like this 3-month gap here. But yeah, let me know what you think, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you want any side of videos, I guess, in the comments, and I'll be catching you in the next one.